I yield 1 minute to our distinguished majority leader, my good friend from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise.
Gentleman from Louisiana, the majority leader, Mr. Scalise, is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank my friend from Oklahoma for yielding. And when we go back to January, as many people have, we knew that it was going to be a narrow majority. We also knew that it wasn't going to be easy. How many of us came here because we thought this job was going to be easy? How many of us thought the task ahead of us to address the problems of this country was going to be easy? One thing we did know is that if we were going to finally start confronting problems that had been ignored for years and years and years, we had to change the way that this place worked. And one thing Speaker McCarthy embraced from day one is to start making those kind of changes to this institution, opening up the process, allowing members to be more engaged, having amendments come to the floor, single subject bills, doing appropriations bills. Yes, making that happen overnight is not something that happens automatically, but it started to happen, and we are now seeing the fruits of it. Just last week, we had 4 different appropriations bills on this House floor, 4 different ones. Now, those bills took weeks and weeks to finally get to the floor, going through an open committee process, hundreds of amendments, each one of them, where Republicans, Democrats could bring their ideas. And we debated those bills on the floor, some until after midnight, where members could actually participate in the process. This has been a broken process for a long time. But it's a process where if we're going to confront the problems that families are facing, because right now we need to resolve our differences inside this House chamber before we can then go and fight for those families who are struggling. But every single day across America, families are struggling with real problems that we're going to have to get back to solving. And those problems are real for them. It's inflation, it's the economy, it's high energy costs. It's an open southern border that doesn't just affect the border states. It's affecting every state, Republican districts, Democrat districts. Everybody knows it. And it can be ignored by the White House, but this House is the only body that started to take action. When we, with H.R. 2, and then with the border bill last week, and with the action we took last week, over 70% of government funding passed out of the House. However everybody voted, Republican or Democrat, this House passed funding for over 70% of the federal government's operation, and it's sitting over in the Senate where they've passed 0. And we're going to beat up each other and talk about our internal processes, and we need to get our internal processes working better. But you know what? So does that other body over there, and so does the White House. Everybody in this town needs to be engaged in addressing these problems. But if we don't start here, and if we don't focus these next 45 days, because that's what we've got in front of us. We've got 2 bills this week. We've got 2 more appropriations bills next week. And if we're going to be confronting those, we've got to stay focused on our mission. What the other side does, let's continue to put pressure on them. But we also need to put pressure on ourselves to do our job. And Speaker McCarthy's been leading at the top of the level to make sure that we have the tools to do our jobs in a different way than the House has done it before. This House is going to have to continue to make those changes. But the American people sent us here to confront those problems. We're finally starting to. This isn't the time to slow that process down. We need to keep doing our work. We need to keep fighting for those families who are struggling. But so does the Senate, and so does the White House as well. Let's keep doing this work that we were sent here to do. I yield back.